My family, the Niblocks, have been out in Canada since 1846. They were farmers in Ireland, and came the potato famine in 1846. They, along with hundreds of thousands of others, came out to Canada, and my great-grandfather took up a farm. He was given land or bought land, and my great-grandfather was born on that farm, and he lived on the farm until he went to work on the railroad. He started off in a very low position, and eventually he became a conductor on the passenger trains, and he was the conductor on the first train that ever went west of Winnipeg. And then he became a superintendent, first in the section between Lake Superior and Winnipeg, just at the time of the Riel Rebellion in 1885, and a regiment of soldiers was sent out from Toronto under a general called General Middleton, and even at that time, there were certain sections of the railroad that was not finished, and the soldiers would have to tramp through the bush in northern Ontario to get to the next branch of line. And when they came to Lake Superior, they had to walk across the ice. And we have a telegram sent from General Middleton to my great-grandfather to arrange for sleeping accommodation on the railroad once they got to the shore on the west side of Lake Superior. And then they were so tired they probably slept all their way to Saskatchewan, and there they were reassembled and went out to quell the Riel Rebellion there. In due course, my great-grandfather became the superintendent in the mountain region, as I said, and it was there because of his work that they named the mountain in 1904 that bears his name. He was the superintendent from 1887 to 1910, and it was a delight to have climbed the mountain. I think I was the first of my family to have done so, and that was 1965, and since then another of one of my cousins has also climbed it, and two of my nephews have climbed it also. They did this in 2004, just 9 years ago. So that is a story about Mount Niblock, and my family during the First World War moved to Toronto. And so my father met my mother in Toronto. They were married in Toronto. I was born in Toronto. I went to school in Toronto, university there. And it was while I was hitchhiking to college, one day a station wagon came by bearing the name of Frontier College. And so I asked a few questions, and before I knew it, I was being interviewed to become a laborer teacher, and it was that thumb stuck out on the highway was one of the turning points in my life that has been formative for my whole life ever since, and no doubt it accounts for my having become an Anglican priest, having been a mathematics teacher for a few years before that. And in 1973, I was called to a parish out in Vancouver from my teaching at the boys' school in Alberta, and we have been out here. I have been retired for 20 years now, but I've been a priest of this diocese in the Vancouver area for 40 years. When I came out here in '73 and became part of the clergy team, to discover that this was called a destination diocese. In other words, you came here from other places and you never left. But in actual fact, we have had quite a few clergy who have gone on to other parishes in eastern Canada or in Alberta and Saskatchewan from here. So it's not altogether true, but it was true for me. It just happened that I married a girl who was born in BC and grew up in Vancouver, so when we came out here in '73, it was like coming home for her. She went to high school in South Burnaby High School, and lived in various places in Vancouver while she was in grade school. So it's been a delight also for our children to have been schooled in BC and to go to UBC and to find their way in life as well. BC is a very big province. I have never yet been north of Prince George, but we have traveled in the south a great deal. Very seldom do we go much beyond Salmon Arm. We sometimes go to our church conference center up at Sorrento Center, and but most of the time, if we travel at all, it's either up to Whistler or out to Chilliwack, up the valley, and to enjoy the scenery that is all around us here. I have climbed mountains on the coast. I have climbed the Stillawamas Chief about 5 years ago when I was in my mid-70s. And I have also climbed Hollyburn and Mount Strawn on the in North Vancouver, West Vancouver. But it is such a delightful, beautiful place that we never weary of the beautiful weather that we have. We are quite adept at the rainfall that falls in the wintertime, but we have known what it was to go through prairie winters when it goes down to 30, 40 below zero. In fact, there was one day when we were at the school west of Edmonton when it went down to minus 55 degrees. We called it square tire days because the air in the tires of our vehicles, because of the temperature, they shrink, and so therefore the tires tend to become softer, and so they freeze, and so you have a flat tire when you start the car up. Then the tires are still frozen, and until they get sort of bounce back into shape again, you get the square tire effect with the fat section of the tire coming round and around. But that's the way it is.